Okay, so last week we should have finished drafting out the parameters of this cribbage board project. So you should have got your outside circles set at exactly 12 inches. You should have got these two border circles defined with two circles each, two here and two here. Those are going to be our borders. We should have gotten our holes set up, arrayed, deleted into the right pattern, and then rotated so that they're correct. And then we should have started working on tracing our graphic to go in the center. So the center graphic needs to be something that's going to be appropriate and timeless. And I'm going to be a little bit picky about what you decide to do there. So this is a crib board that you might have for the rest of your life. We want something on there that's going to look good 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now when you're using this cribbage board. So pick something that's going to be timeless there, something that has at least some value to you. And we're going to this week finish working on drafting that design, getting that all set up and checked. And then we're going to move over and double check our sizes on everything. And we're going to export all these vectors that we created as a DXF file to Aspire so that we can start machining things. And then on Friday, we're going to turn our attention to the back side of this right here. So we're going to work on all these things here. So today, you should have started tracing, and you should have your picture on a separate layer over here as I instructed in the previous video. I've seen a couple files from you guys so far that you didn't have that. So make sure you're watching those videos and doing things as described. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems later on. So if I turn this off, you can see I have here got all of my tracing done, and I am ready to kind of place this inside of my crib board. So a couple things we want to do before we do that is, number one, we want to check that these are closed shapes. So I'm going to select these all, and the first thing I'm going to do is try to use the hatch command. And I'm just going to type that into the command line, hatch. And it's going to open up this little dialog box, and I want to select this solid pattern. And everything that I have should hatch. If it is not hatching, that means you don't have a closed curve. And you need to go back and make sure all of your curves are closed. If, for instance, if I got rid of this G was not connected in this corner and it was open, that means that hatch is going to leak out and it won't hatch. It's got to be a closed shape to hatch. So we want to make sure that all of our hatches are going to work before we go any further. So mine look good. I'm going to type in SEL hatch for select hatch, and then I'm just going to delete those. And now I'm going to take my graphic, and because I have a few different elements to it, I'm going to type in the command group. And I'm going to group those all together so that when I click off and click on, it's all one thing and they stay in the right spot. So now I just need to move this down here. And I want to use my gumball tool. I grab this box and I hold the shift key down. And I want to bring this down. And I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to use the move command. I'm going to type in move and enter. And I'm going to move this kind of from the center of this design to the center of my circle. And that way I know that I've got that thing perfectly aligned. And that is maybe just a little bit too big. I'm going to shrink that down just a touch. And I'm going to call that good. So I've got my design where I want it now. I've got everything else ready to go. What I want to do now is just double check my sizes. So if I come to analyze distance, I'm going to go from quad point to quad point. And you can see this is 12 inches right there. This here is a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch. I want to check one of my hole sizes. And they're 80, so it's 0.065, 1/16 of an inch, which means the diameter should be 0.125, an 1/8 of an inch. So I am ready to go at this point. The last thing we want to do here is we want to export this. So I'm going to grab all of these vectors, I'm going to select File, and I'm going to say Export Selected. Now I want to save these as a specific kind of file, which is this AutoCAD Drawing Exchange .dxf file extension. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to select the file name and type in my name, Cribbage top side vectors. And then I know what that is, and I'm going to save that. And now I'll be ready to import that into Aspire. So this little dialog box will come up, say OK to everything that comes, and you should now have a .dxf file saved, ready for export. Last thing we're going to do is save this one more time, and then we're going to save this as a new file to get started on the back side of this. So I'm going to go now and say File Save As, and I'm going to rename this Mr. V's Cribbage Board Bottom Side, so that I can have the top side file all safe by itself, and I can have a new file where I can start working on the bottom, which we'll do on Friday. Once you've got that, save that update along with your DXF file in your Teams folder. Send me a message in Teams and let me know you've completed the task.